Swapping and moving over hoses on your regulator is quite a convenient way of just adjusting your setup, but if you do it too frequently, can it actually damage your regulator? Hi, all of you awesome scuba divers out there, welcome to the Scuba Diving magazine channel and welcome to AskMark, our scuba diving Q&A, where I, Mark, a former dive instructor, do my best to answer your scuba diving questions. So if you do have any dive questions, pop them down in the comment section underneath this video. Use this AskMark hashtag in your comment to get it featured in an up and coming video. And in the meantime, yeah, I do type out an answer so you get an answer sooner rather than later. And of course, a quick thank you to everyone who helps me out by answering questions that I miss. But yeah, today I'm answering a question from Danny, all about swapping over hoses and whether that wears out your regulators. So Danny Berg says, I'm looking to get into Sidemount in the future. I can get a second first stage and convert my current regulator set over to Sidemount. My question is, will the constant switching back and forth of hoses prematurely wear out or damage the threads on the first stage? Would it be advisable to have a regulator set just for Backmount and another just for Sidemount? Thanks in advance and cheers from Arizona. So if you are swapping over your regulator hoses, is it going to damage your first stage? Possibly. It depends on how you do it. Most first stages are made from marine grade brass, which has just got a chrome plating over it, and that includes the threads itself on the ports, and the same on the male side on the hoses. And most go in at between 4.5 and 5 Newton meters of torque. So you're just nipping them up, but if you do it too much, because brass is quite a soft metal, you can quite easily just strip all those threads. You can bruise the metal itself, you can damage them, so you do have to be quite careful about doing it just right. And with spanners or wrenches, depending on what you call them, it's best to have a fixed spanner as opposed to an adjustable spanner. Adjustables, they do kind of loosen over time, literally whilst you're using them. And one quite common thing that you quite see on hoses is they round the corners, the like pointy bit of that hex, or is quite often common to see them rounded, because you either use a spanner that's a little bit too big and it doesn't fit and capture it quite perfectly, and you end up just rounding that, or use an adjustable, which it was fine when you first lined it up, but after all the jiggery pokery and whatnot, and then actually tightening it up, it's actually loosened like a mil, but that's enough just around that corner. Also, with spanners, be aware of like the angle of the spanner, because if you angle it too much, another common problem is you get a gold crescent around a first stage, where the very pointy bit at the tip of the spanner has dug into the chrome plating of the first stage, and as you turn it around, you just get this gold crescent, which it's more cosmetic. Your first stage isn't going to explode just because you scraped off a bit of the chrome plating, but that is a worry. So when you're doing it up, do up hoses, all hoses, high pressure, low pressures, just finger tight until you can't turn it anymore just with your fingers. Then get your spanner and then just nip it, maybe like a quarter turn, if anything. You basically want it tight enough that you can't unscrew it by hand, and that's about it. Anything more, and yeah, you could damage it. So yes, you could damage it if you're not doing it correctly. If you are doing it correctly, it's very unlikely that you're going to see any kind of serious damage. I mean, I have regulators that I swap hoses over all the time for like demonstrations and whatnot, and there's no signs of damage, because if you're doing it correctly, it's fine. That's how they were designed to work. If I continually swap over hoses like every single day for years, then yes, eventually it will start to wear out. However, normal use, if you're like, oh, actually this weekend I'm just going to go on Backmount, swap over some hoses, and you do it correctly, it's very unlikely that you're going to damage your regulator. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Best case is, yeah, if you do have the money for a separate first stage, to have one set for Backmount, one set for Sidemount. That's the best possible configuration, because yeah, there's no there's no queries about it. It's just, yeah, oh, okay, I'll just grab this set of regulator instead of that. You do have additional costs because you've got the additional servicing costs of everything, but it does eliminate any like whoopsie daisies. I've just screwed up my entire first stage because I've over torqued it. So it's a consideration. If you can afford that additional regulator and the additional upkeep of it, then yeah, fine, that's perfect. However, I wouldn't be too worried about just swapping some hoses over every now and then. Yeah, personally, I have a set of regulators for single cylinder back mount, and then my other regulators that are more, I tend to use them more for my twin set diving, and then just some others that I just collected over the years. But for storage, I do tend to strip them down just because it's more convenient and because I do like demonstrations and stuff, as opposed to trying to figure out, oh, okay, now I need to move this hose and that hose and swap that around. It's just like, you know what, I'll just grab this first stage or that hose. It's just more convenient for me, but I'm a bit of an unusual specimen, shall we say. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Get that additional first stage and just kind of swap the hoses over. If you get more and more into side mount, because you can side mount like single cylinders, you just have to work out your buoyancy and your weighting and stuff. You can just do it like that. But I wouldn't worry too much. Just what you can do is just head to your local dive center and just say, hey, can you just watch me like torque in this this hose, and they'll sort of say, oh yeah, too much or not enough, just do it like this. I'm sure they'd be happy enough to do that, just to give you some extra tips. But it's really not, you don't have to wrench it tight. It's not a compression fitting. You just want it just nipped up, basically, because that marine grade brass is quite soft. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Any other questions, pop them down in the comment section underneath this video. Remember to use that AskMark hashtag if you want to get it featured in an up and coming video. Remember to head over to our website, diving&x.com, like, share, subscribe, do all that good social media stuff. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.